How's everybody doing? This is Anthony Brian Logan. Today is Saturday, August 20th, 2016. And yesterday and on in today, I saw a video that a lot of black folks on my timeline on Twitter and Facebook are kind of outraged about. They're upset, they're triggered, they're butthurt. They're a little bit of everything about this video. But one thing I haven't really seen anyone do is refute the accuracy of what was said in the video. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about Donald Trump doing a campaign stop in Michigan, where he said a few things about the African-American community and how he would be able to get the black vote and what he would do for African-Americans in general. So what I want to do right now is show you the video so you can kind of see what was going on. And I'll let you kind of make your own mind up as to what you think about it. But after you see the video, I'll come back and give you my thoughts about it. So go ahead and roll it.
Look how much African-American communities have suffered under Democratic control. To those I say the following: what do you have to lose by trying something new like Trump? What do you have to lose? I say it again, what do you have to lose? Look, what do you have to lose? You're living in poverty, your schools are no good, you have no jobs, 58% of your youth is unemployed. What the hell do you have to lose? And at the end of 4 years, I guarantee you that I will get over 95% of the African-American vote. I promise you. Because I will produce for the inner cities, and I will produce for the African-Americans. And the Democrats will not produce, and all they've done is taken advantage of your vote. That's all they've done.
Okay, so you were able to see that. Now, what do you think? Do you think that he was being insensitive? Do you think that he was incorrect? Do you think he was correct? Before I get into my actual commentary on it, the questions I asked you are very pertinent because that would really dictate how we go forward. Because it's one thing to be upset at what he said because it was inaccurate. It's something else to be upset at what he said because it was insensitive, right? I mean, if he's just being insensitive, you can't call him a liar per se, unless you have evidence of him lying. If it's just you feel that he was insensitive, what he said was improper to say at that particular point in time, that's fine. But that does not mean what he said was any less true or any more false. Now, if what he said was false, if it was inaccurate, then give me some stats in the comments below. And me personally, I agree with what he said 100%. Now, I've been saying a similar thing for many months now about Donald Trump. It's like, look, why not roll the dice with Donald Trump? Look at the condition of the black community. I mean, he didn't even really get into all the stats I would have mentioned. He talked about teen unemployment, and it's actually worse than what he was saying. Because if you go to a place like Chicago, I mean, the teen unemployment is right around 88, 90%. The black teen unemployment, the black male teen unemployment between 16 and 19 is around 80 to 90%. Now, some people that may not necessarily be familiar with economic stats, they may say, well, why is that a bad thing? If you're a teenager, you should be in high school. You shouldn't be focused on work. But that's not really true, because when you're a teenager, that's when you first get into the workforce. That's when you first get your foot on the ladder of success. You got to be able to start somewhere. So when you 16, 17 years old, you get your first job working in a restaurant, busting tables, doing whatever you got to do, McDonald's. Those are jobs you get early on in life. Maybe you get an apprenticeship. That's how you start to develop skills, right? You started early. When you try to be 21, 22, 24, getting your first job and just trying to develop skills, you're already behind people that have been starting since they've been at least 16, maybe even 14 if you got a work permit, or even before then if they had parents, if they had fathers that would teach them the rules of the trade. Back before we got on a Democrat plantation in the black community, right around 1940, before 1940, there was no difference between black teen unemployment and white teen unemployment. I repeat that. Before 1940, before 1938, really, when they put the minimum wage law into effect, which, by the way, was a racist law. They had the same law in apartheid South Africa to keep the blacks out of white areas. But I digress. Now, before the minimum wage law was put into effect in the United States, there was no difference between black teen unemployment and white teen unemployment, and they were both low. Now, some will argue and say that, well, that's because blacks got paid less than whites. That's fine, even if that's so. I mean, you're talking about 1940, during a time when there was real racism. You had Jim Crow. You still had the KKK running around rampant. So this is during a time where we were still trying to build as a country and get towards a place where we were away from slavery, right? But even if you say that we had less money, that we got paid less than whites, it doesn't really matter, because what would you rather have? Back then, before 1940, where we got paid less for our labor, but we had jobs, or now where we don't have jobs at all, really, right? Now, of course, you know what I'm saying? We don't have jobs at all. I don't mean all, not all, but there is an obvious problem with teen unemployment, with black unemployment in general, right? And you're talking about 1 out of every 4 black households is on some kind of government assistance, you know, WIC, EBT, TANF, etc., right? We're in bad shape. So why not vote for a guy like Trump? Why not roll that dice, right? And I think Ben Carson said something to the equivalent or something similar to what Trump is saying right now. And matter of fact, since Trump was actually in Michigan and Ben Carson grew up partly in Detroit and also in Baltimore, I wouldn't be surprised if Ben Carson called him on the phone and told him to say it. Now, I don't know if he said that or not. I'm not speculating on what Ben Carson told Donald Trump, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did say something like that, because it would make sense. Right? He knows the situation. He knows what's going on in the black community. Why not roll the dice? Why not just take a chance on a new guy? I mean, the Democrat plantation is not working out good for us. I mean, look at before 1960, we had 25% 2-parent households in the black community. Now that's almost reversed. You're talking about 72% of all black children are born to unwed mothers, right? And in a place like Milwaukee, where they had the race riots, it wasn't even really a race riot. It was just people down there suffering due to their own hand, due to their own misdoings, just venting their frustration, looking for an excuse to vent their frustration and go steal and just behave like miscreants, like they were raised to be. 86, I think it was 83 or 86% of black kids in Milwaukee are born without a father, or born to a single mother, a single parent. How can you have a society that succeeds like that? You can't. There's no way you can have a fatherless nation and expect for it to be the same as a nation that has fathers, or any kind of way successful. It's not possible, right? You got to have mothers and fathers. You got to have 2 people. You got to have both sides of it. And you can't have these people that are confused about their gender, don't know what's going on. If you gay, that's your business. I'm not really talking about you. I'm talking about heterosexual people that come together and produce a child. You can't have one person and don't know what's really going on with their gender, and the other person can't be on the same wavelength with that, you know, gender confusion. You got to have 2 people to understand what's going on, marry, and want to provide what's best for their children. Donald Trump just put it in a way that may seem as it's insensitive to some people, but you can't say that what he said was false. There's no way you can say that what he said was false. He had accurate statistics, and really, it's worse than what he said. He was actually being nice, in my humble opinion, right? And the question still remains, what do you have to lose? Seriously, if you're in the ghetto right now and you barely able to have money for food to eat or whatever, your mother is abusing the food stamps or whatever's going on, you're 18 years old, you're about to go out there in the world and become somebody, you're about to step out on your own. Do you think that the Democrats who have produced your situation at home with your drug addicted mother, with your non-existent father, relying on the government, do you think that Republicans would do any worse than that? I mean, seriously, it doesn't make sense to think that the Republicans would be worse somehow than the Democrats have been for the past 50 years. I mean, logically, to take a chance, roll the dice with Donald Trump, it can't be any worse than what it is right now. So that's all I got to say about it. I mean, what say you? Do you think that he was insensitive, Donald Trump, that is, with his statements in Michigan? Do you think that he should have been used more tact? I mean, before I get into my what do you think, my final thoughts on that are, at times you need someone to say something that's straight to the point and may kind of hurt your feelings a little bit. Because honesty at the end of the day is the best policy, and you can't just go on living a lie, trying to tiptoe around what's going on. You got to get down to the root, to the core, and fix it. If you have cancer, there's no need to try and treat the ancillary symptoms to try and cure it and get down to the core, even if it hurts, because once you cure the actual cause of the symptoms, then you'll be able to go forward in life and live more productively rather than struggling the way you are now, just trying to deal with the symptoms and not dealing with the actual illness in an effective way. Or do you think that I'm wrong, right? Am I wrong about what I'm saying? Is Donald Trump a racist or whatever? Do you agree with me? Whatever your comments are, let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.
Look how much African American communities have suffered under Democratic control. To those I say the following: what do you have to lose by trying something new like Trump? What do you have to lose?